8:47. If you've been watching BBC Breakfast for a while this morning, you'll know we've had to change our programme round a lot to reflect the breaking news of the death of Martin McGuinness in the early hours of this morning at the age of 66. And when we came in this morning, there were a number of stories we wanted to bring you, and we're going to bring you one of those now, which we feel may be very important to quite a few of our viewers, because every time we talk about autism on BBC Breakfast, so many people get in touch to say, thank you so much for talking about it. It's really important to me, to my family, to friends of ours as well, and we'd like to reflect that for you this morning.
Yeah, this is one we really didn't want to miss, because around 1 in 100 people are on the autistic spectrum, including an estimated 140,000 children in the UK alone. And the condition isn't always easy to explain.
Yeah, it's something that programme makers at Sesame Street are hoping to help with. They're introducing a new character. Now, her name is Julia. She's a shy 4-year-old with bright red hair and green eyes. She also has autism. Let's take a look at her in action.
Oh, hi, Julia. Well, you seem excited. What's going on? Play. Oh, you want to play? Well, sure. What should we play? Kickball? Oh, okay, maybe not. Well, how about hide and seek? It's okay. Sometimes friends like different things, so it can be hard to figure out what to play together. Play. Oh, but you know what helps? To find something that you both like to do. Like, Julia, you like to flap your arms, right? And I like to flap my wings, see? Flap. See, flap. Oh, look. Butterfly. Yeah, we both like butterflies. Oh, butterfly, play butterfly. That is a good idea. We can pretend to be butterflies. Flap. This is a great way to play.
A great way to play, yeah, I agree. Julia's puppeteer, Stacey Gordon, joins us from our New York studio, and Kay Bembo, controller of CBeebies, is with us here in the studio. Morning to you both. Stacey, if I could come to you first of all. Good morning, I should say good night, really, I think, maybe, to you. How did you first...
enough for a midnight snack.
Good for you. How did you first hear from Sesame Street that they might want you to be involved?
I first got an email a little bit more than a year ago saying that they were seeking a puppeteer who had experience with autism, and they asked me to submit an audition video.
And you have very particular experience with autism. If you could just share with us what that is.
I do. Well, I started off as a habilitator for kids with autism, and then left that job to have my own child who was later diagnosed with autism.
So you bring your own experience to this. What have you been able to share with the makers of Sesame Street about the special things that you might need to bring to this character?
Well, I think that I have to say that the Sesame Street team has so many people who know so much already. So they had 14, I think, different autism organizations that they consulted with, which was fabulous. So I really brought to them my heart, and I bring to Julia what my experiences with my son and the kids that I've worked with.
Well, we can't get Sesame Street, this current series, in the UK, but obviously many children watch CBeebies, Kay. And isn't this a bold and an important step forward for showing children who are having conditions like autism in a programme like Sesame Street?
Absolutely, it's brilliant. It's all about being inclusive, and I think it's lovely. You know, Stacey's bringing her experience, and that's what it needs to be. It needs to be authentic.
I know that CBeebies are planning a series coming up called Pablo.
That's right.
Can you explain to us a little bit about what that series is, and then we'll show a little piece of it?
So Pablo is a 5.5-year-old boy on the autistic spectrum. The show starts with him live action and challenging or a situation that makes him anxious, because that's one of the challenges that a lot of children on the autistic spectrum face. And so he draws himself into his own animated world where he creates characters and friends, and together they face the challenge and they sort of get through the situation. It's a bit like they go on an adventure, and all the characters exhibit different traits across the autistic spectrum. Obviously, we can't cover everything, but it's about reflecting those children's experiences back to themselves so they see themselves, and also so that the audience, I hope, will be more understanding and supportive.
That's coming up on TV a little later on this
Later in the
year.
year, it's in production at the moment.
OK, it's in production, but we do have a little clip of it. So here is a little snippet from the forthcoming series of Pablo.
Mouse?
Where's the list? Mouse can't find the list!
We don't need a list. We can just choose.
No, no, no! We need a list. We have to have a list. There are too many things. And there's not enough space in the trolley or the cupboards.
Too many things. Too many things.
I still don't think we need a list.
We do, Tang. We have to find the list for Mouse.
Oh, Stacey, I hope you were able to hear some of that. That's, you know, our own version.
I was.
Yeah. How would a series like Pablo, or perhaps a character like the one that you're working with in Sesame Street at the moment, how would something like that have helped you and your family?
So I keep saying over and over that I really wish that this had been on when my son was little. If for nothing else, that the kids that he goes to school with who are neurotypical would have had the would have been able to see what maybe his traits and characteristics were like, so that if he'd had a difficult time that day, they might not be worried that he was angry with them or scared of him crying. And the great thing about the Sesame Street episode is that they're really modeling inclusion. It's just beautiful.
I have to ask you, though, how exciting is it to work on Sesame Street?
The most exciting thing I have ever done.
Legends, all of them.
And Kay,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
as Stacey was telling us there, it's essential, isn't it? Not only for children and for families who are suffering with autism, but also for those who aren't, to give a better understanding of what it's like and how they can then interact with children who they will meet who are suffering on the autistic spectrum.
All of the things that you see they've come from children in the autistic community. Andrew Brenner, the head writer, actually worked with a lot of the children and young people. They've contributed to the storylines, and some of the older members of the cast, I don't know whether I mentioned it, but every single member of that cast, all the voices are done by children on the autistic spectrum, which is just totally inclusive and wonderful and authentic, and also very empowering because they then see themselves reflected back. But I think it's also about making sure that people gain a greater understanding so that people can be less perhaps judgmental than they might be. But I think what they've done, obviously on Sesame Street and on Pablo, is just marvellously inclusive, and that's what we want to be.
Great.
Kay, thank you very much indeed. And Stacey, thank you very much for staying up late for us in New York. Thank you both.